What up, watch peeps? You know, I love when I get in something that's just different and really unique. You know, it's risky for a brand to jump on the scene with something that's really outside the box. But today's piece is a sweet little minimalist, artsy, really fun offering. So let's check it out. I'm Pete, and we are Chillin' with Watches. Wrist check. I am wearing the Van Banner LEA on a Barton Elite Silicone, that flat water blue one. Really brings out the blue in the hands and on the dial. Loving this combo. What we're going to check out today is the Ando A1 automatic. I'm not sure if you really need to say Ando 3 times, but I do because it's fun. This is some of the coolest packaging. I left one in there because I want to open it up and show you guys. But some of the coolest packaging I've seen in a while. I really like this, and it's all just compostable or, you know, recyclable kind of cardboard material. So it slides out of the box. I love that see-through window. Lets you see the watch inside. You know which dial configuration you're getting. Warranty info here. Instructions there. And then inside, it's got little slots for your watch. You got your strap in there, and I have to take the one off obviously to get it to fit, but fear not, these are quick release straps, so NBD getting this sucker put back together so we can take a look. Now these come in like 4 different, I don't want to say colors or dial configurations, and I have them all here. So they're basically doing this with only really 2 colors, basically black and this kind of silver color. And they use those same 2 colors to make the other 2 models in kind of reverse patterns here. They call this one white donut and they call this one black donut. Now size, these guys they're 36 millimeters across. That's all the way across from this flat plane here to the edge of the case over here. The bezel itself is about 34.5 millimeters. Price, these come up at $280 US and about $290 shipped. As I mentioned, they're making use of only 2 colors for all 4 watches, silver and black. Now if we look closely, you'll see the silver has a kind of like an eggshell texture to it. And you know, I thought the black was smoother, but looking here, it looks like it has pretty much the same texture as well. Now one of the things I really love about this is the sterile dials. There's absolutely no branding. That takes some guts, but these are very clearly artsy pieces. And they're not tools, and the branding would have ruined that. So kudos to them for resisting doing that. It's a better product for it. I'm going to talk about what's on the dial. We have our hour markers here. This is the sandwich dial. You'll see that outer black sector has cutouts. The lume is showing through there. Really nice bevel dropping down to that inner portion of the dial as well. There's absolutely no minute track, again, in keeping with the minimalist artsy feel. And as you can see, we have a 3 o'clock date. These are running the Seiko NH36s, so you get your standard day date window. Now, I don't know if this is just a prototype thing, but each one I have has like a different day wheel in it, which I think is kind of cool, but I don't know if that'll hold true into the production models. And you know, a point of fact here that's pretty interesting, they did a Kickstarter for just these cases if you wanted to build your own watch in one. Again, that's gutsy, man. I really love it. You don't want a watch, you want just a case. I'm not offended. Fine, I'll sell you one. I appreciate that kind of thinking. The hands are pretty simple sticks, and they are the same on all 4 models as well. You know, at first I thought they were, you know, maybe just kind of lame, but on further wear, I find that they let the case and the dial be the star of the show without detracting at all. Also, they're easily swappable for anything Seiko compatible. All that is sitting under a nice flat sapphire crystal. The case itself is really unique on these guys. Obviously, we got this kind of asymmetric, almost like a Seiko Ripley chronograph. If you're familiar with those, that's what it kind of harkens back to. They do come across as a little bit slab-sided, you know, and they're not really thick at all at 11.3, but they appear to be more so due to, I think, the overall smaller size. You know, there's less area to spread the thick out, if you will. It's kind of like wearing a little instrument on your wrist, honestly, when you have it on. And I will take a look at how it wears on wrist in just a little bit. We have really tiny, short little lugs, which lets the case keep its really unique shape. They are straight cut lugs at the top of the case too, so they look great, as you can see here, with all sorts of different straps. The crown is at 3 o'clock, and you'll see it's kind of set in this little cutout. It's a 4.8 millimeter crown, and it is signed. You can see their logo on there as well. The crown is tiny though, and I get it. They wanted it to fit in this cutout, so it's just completely out of the way, which it is, you know, mission accomplished. But I think it could stand to be a little bit bigger in diameter without having to be any thicker and still fit well within that groove and be a little easier to use. But if we look close, you'll see it does have a really nice grip on it that you don't really have any trouble getting a hold of that or operating it as is. The case backs on these guys is pretty interesting as well. I think you could see from one of the silver ones, you have like this kind of black PVD see-through sapphire sandwich case back, and it's a screw-on case back, not a screw-down case back. Oh, look, on the black ones, it's silver. I kind of like that. It's opposite. Oh, not this one. This one is silver all the way. All right, so you're going to get kind of a different combo there all around. The all black is all black, and it looks like the white donut has a white donut on the case back, black donut on the case back. But really cool, especially, you know, on an artsy piece. I think seeing the movement, even if it is kind of a bog standard NH35, is still kind of a nice touch. Now the strap these came with, admittedly, I kind of didn't really wear it on. I'm not a leather guy, so I kind of took it off there and put it on all sorts of different straps I had here. But it is a pretty nice leather strap, and it does suit the watch really well. And it's quick release pins, which is great. Seems to be settling in somewhere around -4 seconds per day, which I think is pretty good accuracy for what this is. These are NH35. It has a really low amplitude and a pretty high beat R. I'm going to chalk that up to these being prototypes that have seriously made the rounds on with the reviewers and probably been handled pretty roughly. And also, you know, I don't wind my watches, so I didn't really take note until just now winding one of these up to put on the Timegrapher. The crown's not too hard to use when you're setting it, the time or the date, but winding it up to put on the Timegrapher, that is a little bit of a challenge. Again, where I think my little bit larger crown would make a lot of difference there. Going over the dimensions, we are looking at a 35.8 millimeter case. That is from this flat plane to this edge, about a millimeter smaller if you were to go with just the bezel size. They have a 42 millimeter lug to lug, really nice and tidy. Comes in at 11.3 millimeters thick. That is from one flat sapphire to the other, and it has a 20 millimeter lug width. Going over some of the other specs. So just mentioned, we're looking at a flat sapphire crystal on the top and the bottom. It uses C1 Superluminova running the Seiko NH36 movement, and it has 5 ATMs of water resistance. On the supplied leather strap, it came in at 69 grams. And here is how it wears on my 7¼ inch wrist. You can see here I was talking about it's like wearing a little tiny instrument. Top down view, you know, it's not a big watch, it's a small watch, but it has that funky shape which gives it a little bit of presence. I really like the size and proportions in the top down view. But again, having to use that NH35 really does cause it to have to be not really tall, because 11.3 or whatever I said is not that tall, but it's just those straight sides really kind of make it look a little thicker than it actually is. Real quick, because I know you guys are going to ask, this is a watch steward strap on this model. This one is using the OEM leather that came with it. This is an MN strap from AliExpress, and this is a Barton's Elite Silicone with a PVD buckle to match. Here it is alongside the 36 millimeter Smith's Everest. And then you can see the dial opening on these two is probably about the same. And again, that asymmetrical case giving this one a little bit more presence. And honestly, that thickness is probably almost, well, let's take a look. I bet it's really close, but it just looks a little bit thinner on the Smiths, but not a whole lot, like 0.3 millimeters. It just looks like a lot more. Moving up a little bit, here's the trash. This one's only about 36.5 millimeters with a larger dial opening. And I wanted you to see how that one kind of gave this one a little more presence. And if I can get it to zoom in there, makes it look a little larger maybe than the Ando. Although the PVD case might be contributing to that as well. A little bit larger still, the 38mm Van Banner AO. And here I think once we get into these 38s, they're clearly larger watches than this 35.8 thickness. Again, pretty similar. Lastly, I do have an SKX here just for those of you who are not familiar with any of those three watches. This is a great benchmark at 42.5mm. Obviously larger, but about the same size dial. And the SKX here is even a little thicker. All right, let's check out the lume on all these bad boys.
Peep the lume.
And check those guys out. They actually have really nice lume on them. Blue light effects coming from the Timegrapher. I left it on because I thought it looked cool. As you can see, the lume is quite generous on here. Sandwich dials usually do light up really nice. And even those stick hands have an ample amount of lume in them to look really consistent with the markers and everything else. So there you go, the Ando A1 automatic. You know, on their website, there are pictures of all the 3D printed prototypes leading up to this final design. Really cool to see. So if you want to go check these guys out, I will put a link to their site in the description. In the meantime, sneaker check. I'm wearing my green check bands because, duh. All right, man, that's it. I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, please like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.